So eRequester is a spend management solution, really speeding up the invoice-to-pay process. We're used by over 600 companies and 100,000 users worldwide. So we've got users in basically every corner of the world. eRequester we're targeted at solving your expense management, your PO creation and PO automation, AP automation and receiving. We have a whole host of modules. This is just a few of them. And AP automation is something we've recently added to what eRequester can do for your business. So like I said, eRequester is a request-to-pay solution, and we're really focused on making it easier and more trackable what that whole purchasing and spending process is within your organization. And one of our strengths is really the approval workflow, so making sure the right people are reviewing and approving a request, and then when they actually get created into POs, routing it into the correct documents into your accounting systems. And that includes expense reports as well. We are a top-rated e-procurement solution by the Gartner Group, focused on the time to value, ease of use, customer care, and our technology platform. So we definitely take pride in delivering on those key deliverables. And that's really kind of the background of our company. So let's dive into the AP workflow automation demo. Really, AP workflow is intended to allow your vendors to email you in invoices to an email inbox, and allow your users to match those to existing purchase orders in your system, and also create new voucher requests, invoice requests, saving you valuable time. So we're really trying to make that as an easy and seamless process as possible. And in this demo, we're going to be covering two primary use cases. Use case number one is your vendor is going to email an invoice to be paid that there is an existing purchase order in your system in eRequester, and I'll walk you through matching, show you how you match that invoice to the PO, and then make any necessary edits. And then the second use case is your vendor emails an invoice and there isn't a PO. So we'll show you how we handle that and how you go ahead and process that. A housekeeping note, I do have you noted. We are, because we've got so many people, somebody's going to dial in and have, something happen in the background and overwrite, our ability to hear. So we've got you all muted, but we do have a chat function in Turbo Meeting. We will try and take questions as we go, but if there is a problem or if there's a question that I don't get to, we have some dedicated time at the end for a Q&A. So we will get back to that and try and answer as many questions as we can. Okay, so let me bring up eRequester. So this is we're a web-based product, so you log in on any browser. So I'm going to log in and we're going to do that first use case where a vendor is going to email an invoice requesting payment for a PO that you've issued to them. So I'm going to go ahead and log in as Joe Requester. He's basically a normal, everyday employee that's needs to request goods and services. I could create this from scratch. I'm just going to go ahead and use a template. This is our main dashboard in eRequester. So for somebody that just requests and creates requests and then forwards them on for approval, they'll have my request. They'll see what things need to be received against. They'll see what are pending approvals, and then I'm going to go to the templates. So I'm going to go to templates. I'm going to use this departmental one for Acme Services. We basically every month spend about the same amount. They do all our design. So I'm going to go ahead and copy that. That's going to create a new requisition that I can then make any necessary edits to, and then I can forward it on. So we've got a single line item here for hourly design services for this month. It's going to be $60, 60 hours at $125. So it's pretty straightforward, pretty simple. So this is just me entering in a new requisition. It then forwards it to, based upon criteria you can set up in our routing rules. It's going to forward this to Bob Approver and then Jane Director before we can then go ahead and create a purchase order. So I'm just going to quickly do that. I'm submitting it. It's been submitted for approval. It's waiting for Bob Approver here. So I'm just going to go log in as Bob Approver and quickly approve that and get us the PO we need to match again. So it comes in and I'm on the pending approval tab. This requisition 6123 is waiting for my approval as Bob. So I'll go ahead and view that. Now, if I needed to, I could make any comments, I could approve it, I could reject it, I could request info or require a change. These are basic functionalities of eRequester. I'm just going to go ahead and approve it because this is pretty typical for us, right? So, and if I go back and look at that, the approval routing, Bob's approved it, and now it's waiting for Jane Director. We also have all the request history, so it's going to tell me step by step what happened with this requisition. So I'm going to go ahead and log in as Jane Director. She's our last approval we need for this PO to set up our use case. I'm going to go ahead and view this. And okay, so this looks, from Jane's perspective, this looks pretty normal. So she's going to go ahead and approve this. And it went ahead and this is the final approval. So it went ahead and created a PO number 1270, and then this is going to, and here's my notifications. I've got set up so that I receive most of the notifications. I've got a requisition has been approved, and it's ready to be posted, but the system already posted it for us. So we've got this quantity of 60 hours at $125, and you can imagine this happened, let's say, a month ago at the start of December. So I'm going to go ahead and close this. And then what I'm going to do is imagine now it's, this morning, and Acme wants to send us the invoice. So I'm going to go ahead and you should be able to see my email window. I'm going to go ahead and email into a dedicated address that Seattle Umbrellas has told me to send my invoices to. I'm now acting as Acme Consulting, and I've went ahead and attached an invoice. It could be a PNG, it could be a doc file, it could be an Excel, whatever format, and then I put in whatever necessary message. I'm going to go ahead and send that. So that's me as the vendor sending that into Seattle Umbrella Company so that I can get paid, and this is where our AP automation workflow is we're basically going to start demoing from there. So the key thing there is with the way that we emailed into a dedicated email inbox, eRequester is going to check that based on a frequency you can set. We've got ours currently set to 2 minutes. So in the next 2 minutes, I should get a pop-up from my Outlook telling me that a AP transaction is ready to be processed. The key to this is we need to, for each vendor that you're going to allow to send you in invoices, you need to go ahead and set them up and associate an email address to that vendor. So I'll go to Administration Accounting and Manage Invoice Vendors. And if we look at Acme, we'll see we're allowing them to send in emails to us. And if I edit it, it's looking for emails from Roger K at eRequester.com that come into that dedicated shared email box. So that's really the key, is just being able to set up at one or more addresses. I could say everybody at eRequester.com, but for this demo, I'm just saying only emails from Roger K at eRequester.com are going to be allowed. So then when we get the notification, which I've just received, and let me pull this over here, we've now got a vendor invoice received, and this would go to, this is coming here, let me close this, and this is coming from Acme. It says an email from Acme Service Company is received and ready to be processed. So any of your users that have the ability to process invoices and use the AP workflow module to match the invoices, would receive this notification. So, you know, it basically highlights and alerts those people, hey, there's something you need to go and act upon. So I'm going to go ahead and close that. And now what we need to do to actually process this is we're going to go to Request, Process Invoices. And this is one of the tabs for the users. I'm actually going to switch over to my admin user because that's the one that I was intending to show this. So the admin user, and if I go to Process Invoices, we see now I've got the latest email that came in this morning from Acme Services is PO1270. And if I go and look at that, I can look at the email subject. So it says, hey, happy holidays, please remit payment, thanks. And I can actually look at any attachment, if there were any of those. And this is based upon the browser, how the browser shows attachments. So I'm going to go ahead and click OK so I can look at this and say, okay, wow, okay, I see that looks like we didn't use all 60 hours. We only used 50 hours today. Same rate, but it looks like we didn't need as many hours from them, and they're not billing us for as many hours. So that's good. So let's go ahead and process this. So let me go ahead and close this. So what I can do is select this line of my Process Invoice tab, and I can go ahead and match that to a specific PO. So these are the open POs for that vendor. I see that 1270 is there, so I'll go ahead and select that. I can go and view the PO that I just matched to that invoice. So I can go ahead and click that. And this was that PO that we created for 60 hours. So I can go, oh yeah, okay, that looks like the same one. That looks appropriate, but I do need to make that change. So I'll need to remember that we need to reduce the payment down to 50 hours. So I'll go ahead and close that. So I've got this, and I've selected that. So I'm going to go ahead and click Match Invoice to PO. So that's creating a new requisition that allows us to do two-way matching and potentially three-way matching if we've got it set up. This has created a new requisition that's basically requesting a invoice be created for Acme for the work that they did. But we need to go ahead and change this. So what I need to do is I'm going to go ahead and click the Mass Edit button here. If I had lots of multiple lines here, I could do them all in one fell swoop, changing the quantity and the cost because it might change from what we expected. But I'm going to go ahead and change that to 50 hours at $125. So let me go ahead and save all. Okay, so now we've got our new, and this matches. One thing you'll notice is we went ahead and created, or we've attached the incoming email. So if there were multiple attachments, they would all be here, and they're automatically saved within the eRequester system for future approvers to review. And we've started our request history. So we see that we've created Bill Admin, who's the one that did process the invoice, created this requisition based upon this original this PO1270. So I'll go ahead and say, okay, yeah, and I'll put in an explanation. Looks like we use less hours this month. So I'll go ahead and save that comment. And that gets saved to my my request history, and I'll go ahead and save and continue. And that's going to go ahead and submit this for approval. And the way that we have, you'll notice that this is a different set of approvers from our original request, where the PO we requested, we had Bob, the approver, and Jane, director. Here we're having Joe, the requester, who was the original person that, created the PO. We want to make sure he's aware of it in case there are any any changes that he would want to be aware of and maybe let us know. And then Shannon, AP user, is our final person that reviews this request. And the power of eRequester is we can set those up, your routing rules, based upon the type of, whether it's a PO request or a PO invoice or a non-PO invoice. We have lots of flexibility in how we go about creating those and structuring those for you. So that's really one of the strengths of eRequester. And as you saw, as each person, their approval is required, they're being notified, and we're logging the actual actions they took in the request history. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Submit Request, and that's been submitted to approval. So let me go ahead and log in as Joe. Actually, it's Joe 1. And he's got one pending approval, and that's this purchase order invoice. So we're going to view, and he goes, yep, we saved some hours. And then we're going to go ahead and approve, and it's going to go to Shannon, our AP user, next. And then I'm going to log in. And then Shannon has 4 pending, but the top one is our PO match. And I'm going to go ahead and approve that. And then that went ahead and created an invoice 460 for that matched PO. So that's our first use case where we're matching a PO that already is existing in eRequester, and then the vendor is sending us a bill or an invoice to basically say, hey, I'm ready to be paid now. I've done the work. Go ahead and pay me. And this is the way that you match those two, create a new requisition to do that. Two-way match is what I demonstrated, and allows you to then forward it for the appropriate approval, review and approval based upon your business's rule. Then the next, okay, so would you have to use the PO module to use the AP automation module? You would have to, depending on your integration, yes, you would have to have either eRequester's standalone PO module, or you would have to have the PO module for your accounting system. If you basically have the PO module integrated, or you're using, let's say, Great Plains PO module. So yeah. And we can definitely follow up with if you have more questions about that, Kara. So then the second use case that we wanted to talk to you about is your vendor emails you in an invoice, and there is no PO. Basically, let's say you had to have some rush job done, and somebody calls up and approves that, and you don't go to the effort to go ahead and create a PO. You have a verbal agreement, and they need to email you, or it's a vendor that you don't have a PO, you don't generate PO for, but they just do work for you, and then they email you in invoice. You still want to create a voucher request, that a non-PO voucher request that then gets routed through our system, and then a invoice is created in your accounting system. So let's go ahead and so this is my example of that scenario. So this is Acme Services again, and they said, please pay this invoice. There's no PO since it was a rush order and approved by me. Thanks, Acme AP department. And if we look at it, you'll notice it's for 30 hours, and it's at $125 per hour. So basically, we need to enter that, get that entered in the system, and get that sent out for review and approval. So I'm going to go ahead and click this, and I know that there's no PO that matches, so I'm going to leave that blank, and that allows me to create a voucher request. So I'm going to go ahead and click on a voucher request, and that's going to utilize a template that you can set up, and it can have basically as much detail. It can be very minimal with a one-line starter template, or it can have lots of detail, and then you can edit or delete lines based upon what's appropriate for you. But for this company, we've just created a very generic template. The first thing I need to do is I need to go ahead and enter an invoice number, but I don't remember what the invoice number is. Okay, so it's in the title of the graphic that got attached, but I'm actually going to go ahead and look at it to confirm, and it's 87699. So then I'm going to go ahead and edit this, and I'm going to put in the invoice number, 87699, and if I wanted to put any header notes, I could do that. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Save and Continue. And then I'm going to go ahead and use Mass Edit here, and I'm going to go ahead and put in consulting. And I think it was 25 at, or it was 30 at 125. And I'm going to save and continue. And so then I've got my details entered. Joan's asking, do we offer OCR versus entering the information manually? We are working on OCR. We are also working on being able to parse the PDFs. We expect to have that in the late first quarter or early second quarter of this year. So it's definitely something we do want to automate, and we are currently do have a dev team. Well, Joan, by parsing a PDF, there are a lot of PDFs that get created where there is textual information embedded in the PDF, and that's actually even a higher quality way to pull information out of any attachments. If your vendor is you can convince them to send you as a PDF, that would be the highest quality of information that we could pull into any new documents that we're creating. So we definitely are working on both OCR and PDF and pulling that information in. So we've went ahead and created this, we've updated the details of this new request, and we've once again attached included any attachments from the incoming email, and we've updated our request history. And so I'm going to go ahead and save and continue. Now here it's going to go back to, it's going to go through Joe Requester, it's going to go through Bob Approver, Jane Director, and Shannon AP User. Once again, this is all configurable depending on how you want the review process for the different document types so that you can have the right people approve it. And this could be based upon the quantity, the GL accounts, the type of document, just lots and lots of options to configure your routing rules to, get that reviewed by the correct people in the correct order. So I'm going to go ahead and submit this request, and it's been submitted for approval. We now see that Joe Requester is our the next person, so I'll just go ahead and log in as Joe Requester. That. So the pending approval is our non-PO invoice. I'll go ahead and approve that. And let me go actually see who the next person was on that. It would automatically get that person. Bob would get it, would have gotten notified. So we're going to do Bob real quick. And my cap lock is on, so here's Bob's, this is non-PO invoice approval again. And I'm going to go ahead and click Approve Request. It was Jane, I believe, was our next approver. I'm going to approve that requisition. And then I believe it was Shannon was our next person and our final approver. So once again, you see all the approvers, you see who the approval chain was, and we're going to go ahead and click approve. The system went ahead and it's been approved, and the invoice has been posted. So went ahead and we've got this in our system and ready to pay that if our accounting system. So those are the two primary use cases when you're on the Process Invoice tab, that you can match to an existing PO, or you can create a whole new voucher request to initiate that invoice document being created in your accounting system. And as I said, we are currently working on integrating an OCR engine and being able to read those PDFs into the data on them into the key pieces of information that are on those on the voucher request or the PO match request, so that it'll further reduce the amount of effort needed to. But this really centralizes that process, feeds it into the eRequester system, and hopefully makes it much smoother and faster for you to get your vendors paid. So is there any additional questions that we can answer, or we have time for Q&A? And that could be anything about AP automation. It can be anything about eRequester itself. I know we went through a lot of information there, and I do appreciate your time. We would be happy to do that for you. That is our next slide. So if you need more information, we have an email, info@erequester.com, or you can go ahead and just give us a call. We are in Seattle, Washington, and we'd be happy to follow up if you have any more in-depth questions about the system or the AP automation workflow itself. And we do demos all the time. Well, I do thank you again. Please, if you have any specific questions about sales for our sales team, we've given you the contact information on the screen. I'm also, if you have any additional questions, we have my contact information is on the screen as well. Be happy to get you the right answers and to follow up on any specific questions you might have. And we do appreciate your time today. I hope you're having a good week after the holidays, and appreciate you taking some time out and watching us present this information. Thank you, Kara.